Good morning. Welcome to our webinar, everybody. We have a couple hundred people on the webinar today. It's exciting. I'm grateful to our teachers that are joining us. This is the Collaborative Conversation Virtual Learning Grade 3 and 4 webinar, and we're going to have several teachers talking with us today about the great things that they're doing in their classroom and the quick learning curve that they have gone through. So we appreciate that very much. I am Karen Matso from Demonstrated Success. We also have with us today virtually Sarah Gallagher from Demonstrated Success and Mike Schwartz as well. Hello, Sarah. And
Hi.
I don't know if Mike's going to come up, but and we'll introduce you to our teachers in a moment. So just a little background information. We, on the right-hand side, you have a control panel. Oh, there's our presenters. Let's talk about them first, and then I'll go to the control panel. So there's me at the top, and we have Amanda Goss. Amanda, can you turn on your cam and say hi to everybody? And we have Jessica Wentworth. And hi, Jess.
Hi.
And Caroline. Caroline, how do you say your last name?
It's pronounced Guinier.
Guinier. Okay.
Yes.
So Jessica and Caroline are both from Strata Memorial School. They do you both teach Sarah's kids?
Yeah, we both have our own multi-age 3-4 classroom, so
Okay.
we share students.
Okay. And you work with Sarah's children, yes?
Yes.
Or one of them. Okay. So, and then Amanda Goss is a third grade teacher at Rye Elementary. And so she'll be sharing with us today too. And you can see a little bit about them. Everyone has kids running around their house. So if there's any interruption, you'll have to excuse us. And all these guys are, yeah, just juggling a lot right now with kids and dogs and husbands and homeschooling and student schooling. So thank you very much for being with us.
You're welcome.
Sure.
I also want to thank the New Hampshire Department of Ed. Caitlin Davis is the head of the department that is helping us do this work. So we are very grateful. And we really want to thank all of you teachers that are on today. We have spoken to so many teachers over the last 10 days. And people are working so hard and opening themselves up to new learning and struggling and putting in so much work and showing such commitment to their students. And we thank you very much for all of it. So you are all muted. Everybody on the line is muted from the get-go because there's a couple hundred people, and I think that it's just too much to for everyone to be unmuted. However, there is a chat section and a questions section. So I am going to suggest that you all there, if you open the chat section, there's a little message from Demonstrated Success in there. And there's also the questions section if you want to type in a question. We, both Sarah and Mike, will be monitoring the questions. So anything you type in, we will see. I can't promise that we will be able to get to every single question, but certainly we will do our level best. All right. And if you want to raise your hand to actually speak, we will go ahead and unmute you. That too, there's a couple hundred people on the webinar, so we will do our level best to unmute you. And the last thing I'd love to know is if you are having a problem hearing me or seeing the presentation, certainly write in under the question or the chat, and Mike and or Sarah will get back to you. Okay, so that's it for logistics. Unless anybody that's on can think of anything that I missed. So we're just going to talk today, go back and forth. Our guest teachers are going to share in these different categories today. First, we'll talk a little bit about scheduling and tools for communication and then different ideas for supporting student engagement, and a little bit about technology suggestions today. And we'll go back and forth, and it's really just a conversation. So we'll talk about office hours, work hours, and suggested home schedule. And let's talk about Jessica and Caroline. Do you guys want to start off?
Sure.
So this is a suggested schedule that was sent to all the families at our school by our administration. We wanted to give families at least some suggestions of a way that they could structure their day, but it's certainly not required that everybody follow this schedule or any schedule. But some families have found it helpful to have some suggestion of ways that they can structure their day.
Okay, so this is a suggested family schedule from your leadership.
Yep.
Yes. Great. And I know, like Sarah Gallagher, you have a similar schedule that you have been holding your kids to, your own children to. Is that right?
Yeah. Actually, Mrs. Gannier did a little Google Hangout with my kiddo, my 3rd grade kiddo, and she was able to share the schedule with Mrs. Gannier this morning.
Okay. How utterly excellent.
It was pretty excellent. And I had 15 minutes of peace and quiet.
So, and Amanda, is this your school? Is this your schedule at home?
Yeah, it's a schedule. I asked my students on Zoom and Seesaw when I did different videos to create their own schedule. Some parents and kids sent me photos of their own schedule, but like everybody is saying, it's kind of hard to keep a schedule when, like today it snowed, so my kids went outside this morning to play instead of doing their regular whatever the learning time was. So yes, I told my parents and children that they can create their own schedule and you do not need to follow it, but some families really work well on this type of very rigorous or structured situation, but we're all kind of learning it day to day, and my schedule that I have put on the refrigerator, we have not stuck to once.
Well, it's okay. You got to be flexible these times.
Totally.
But in your schedule with your kids, your students, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get together one time a day as a whole class, I think you had mentioned.
Well, we've Zoomed as a whole class. I will post on Seesaw a video every morning talking to my kids about the day, what it looks like, I gave them a challenge every day, and I tell them that by the end of the day they need to report to me that they've attended, they've done schoolwork, and they give me like an exit ticket. So I check in with them every day in the morning, but it's not live. I'm not Zooming with everybody every day yet. I've had hard connection issues, to be honest. Zoom is just really, yesterday I Zoomed with my whole class and like we talked about the day and what we're gonna do, and it kept freezing. Half the kids, parents were saying that it's just not, there's so many people on it, and also so many other like class students, for example, if you have siblings that are all remote learning too. So sometimes we had 2 or 3 siblings on Zoom in different rooms of the house, you know? So I don't know, it's been kind of spotty, to be honest.
Okay, well, that's good information and really interesting. And I would assume that
great though.
we use GoToMeeting. It's not always like that, but yes, it is working great. So I'm thrilled. And you know, I'm sure a lot of households are having that problem. Plus, they're having to maybe even share computers.
Yes.
So Amanda, you had talked about conveying to your kids some messaging around organizing their lives. And if you could just speak to this, that would be great.
So one of the first days that we had this remote learning, which we started last Monday, I don't even know, a week and a half ago. I wanted them to take photos of where their learning is going to take place, most likely. Some kids set up like desks and they posted them to their Seesaw accounts. So I did the same. And so I have photos of where my little area is going to be, which is my dining room table, as you can see. And it just kind of made an initial connection to my situation and theirs. Every single kid sent me a photo of where they're going to work. And who knows if it's something that they're really, kids always end up in the kitchen, but they said they were going to work in the, in their desks or in their rooms. So we did that the first couple of days, and every morning I send out a photo challenge, just have them do something and send me a photo. So yesterday it was to, last week it was to go around and find shamrocks in the windows. And today was to go outside and play in the snow and send a picture to me, even if you just do some kind of melting experiment. And also today, create a rainbow and paste it on your window so people can see when they walk by. That's what all over the world they're doing this week. So just trying to do some real world connections that are beyond just the scope of our curriculum.
That sounds great. Did you get any snow pictures this morning?
Not from any of my students yet, but I've taken some with my own kids, and I'll share those with my class.
Okay, that's great. I really like the idea of swapping the photos and of everyone having a picture of where they're working. I think that's a great thing. We have a question here that talks about that a district doesn't have permission for video conferencing with their students. And are there any other suggestions to be able to connect with students? Folks are using Google Classroom. So maybe we can keep that in the back of our heads, that question, and talk a little bit about, Tara, we'll definitely address your question as we go, okay? Let's talk about, here we go, tools for communication. So Jess and Caroline, do you guys want to talk about Seesaw a little bit?
Sure. Go ahead, Jess, you go first.
I think we've been using Seesaw right now as basically just a way for us to connect with each other. We're not using it as a place for like turning in work or that sort of thing, but we're doing daily check-ins, question of the day, little read alouds, and we're inviting kids to respond. We've enabled the blog component of Seesaw because if it's just in their journal while they're at home, they can't see each other's responses. So by enabling the blog portion of Seesaw, kids can now comment on each other's. And so we're asking kids to do a post a day, whether it's a video, kids are sharing little experiments that they've done, they're reading aloud, they're doing all different kinds of things, and kids are able to comment and connect with other kids about that.
So and since kids can connect with each other, that's a really nice tool for communication for the whole group, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And are they commenting? Are they able to comment on each other's work?
Yes, if you enable the blog portion of Seesaw, then they're able to. We went through this whole thing for a whole week where we were like, this is not working because Seesaw has made it so when you're connecting from home, you're not able to see other students' journal entries. You can only see your own. It's a privacy issue. But by enabling the blog portion of Seesaw, it's technically public, but you can make it password protected, so no one else can see it. Then kids can comment on each other's work and ask questions.
That's great information. Okay. I have a question. I just want to go back for a second. Is Seesaw free?
Oh, that's a good question. I think there are parts of it that are free, but I know that we subscribe to a school account, which enables it to be carried over from year to year. So I think there's a free component, I think.
I'm wondering also if we go to the site, a lot of these sites are becoming free till the end of school.
Right.
So that is certainly something to check out. I'm just looking at some questions here. So for Jessica and Caroline, do all of your kids have internet access?
They
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough that the day we found out our school was going to be closing was a Friday afternoon, and the school was able to quickly allow their Chromebooks to go home. So we're one-to-one with Chromebooks. So everybody was able to bring home a Chromebook so they have a device to be able to connect. And we did not have anybody who did not have internet access at home.
Okay.
Yep. And then should I respond to a question that I see about?
Sure. Yeah.
So are parents able to see other children's posts too, or just student to student? So a parent can see anything that their own child has posted. If a child wants it to be posted to the blog, then other parents could see it. So we make sure that before we post it to the blog, that kids know that other people will be seeing it.
And we have to approve everything that goes on the blog too. So just as a way to monitor to make sure that everything's appropriate, and you know, we have the final approval of what can and can't go on.
And your kids have used Seesaw, and your families rather have used Seesaw prior to this, obviously, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like you didn't have to teach parents and students how to interact with the platform.
Nope, we did just for the blog component, and I did a little screencasting video to show them how to post to the blog because that component was new, but it seemed like they picked it up pretty easily.
So you were careful to send an instructional video basically to your kids. And if you had needed to, you would have sent similar to the parents if they weren't familiar with Seesaw.
Yep, so we also sent it, when you post to Seesaw, you can like tag all of the kids so that the parents get notified that their kids did work, even though it's just the teacher tagging them. So parents can view the videos too. So they were able to see the screencast about the blog.
And you've gotten good responses from parents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah Gallagher, because I know you're a parent using Seesaw, do you like Seesaw?
I do. I feel like, you know, speaking honestly, doing the homeschooling thing has been a little isolating, and it feels like sometimes I'm flying solo. So it's just been nice that I know that my daughter has the opportunity to connect on a daily basis, and I feel a little bit more of a community. And Seesaw is very easy to use, so
That's
2
great.
thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay, I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I just wanted a quick question for Amanda that I found, and for all of you in some ways, right? Are you having decent success with all students participating in your daily check-ins? And then how do we manage it when kids aren't participating?
So during my Zoom conference yesterday with my whole class, I said that I'm gonna have to take attendance every day. And that can look very different for everybody. But by 8 p.m. each day, they need to get back to me with 3 responses. One of them is like, what did you do for schoolwork today? What's your questions, if you have any? And what other extracurricular things did you do? And everybody has to reach out to me by 8 p.m. and for me to call that, you know, a day that you went to school. And I gave them like 4 options for how to get in touch with me. They could text me and send me a written, like text me a photo. I gave them my cell phone, which I would never have done, but this is just a different experience. Everybody can text me with a written up thing of what they did. They can put it on their Google Drive account, and I check that all the time. They could respond in Seesaw. A couple kids did videos in Seesaw yesterday. So they need to reach out to me somehow by the end of the day, every day. And if they don't, and I start seeing a pattern, first I'll reach out to them, obviously, but I mean the parents, and then I have to reach out to the principal, and she'll reach out to the families if we start seeing certain kids not attending.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Jess and Caroline?
Right now, we don't have accountability for students to be, you know, replying to our posts or submitting, submitting any work. Just as our first 2 weeks, our administration at our school made it pretty clear that the things that we're providing for students are just options. And right now at this point, we can't really require students to be doing anything specific. That being said, I pushed really hard on my morning videos to hear from everybody. And there are definitely a few kids that I haven't heard from yet, or maybe just have given me one comment. As we continue to meet with our administration this week and get things worked out for how the coming weeks are going to look, I'm sure that's going to be changing.
Yeah. I like that you're giving choices for people to connect with you, for the kids to connect with you. I think that's terrific. Not just one way, but 3 or 4 ways so that they have some options. I have a question here on, is there a way in Seesaw to use, to draw mathematical figures and to do sort of math work? Is anyone using it for that?
Yeah, I mean, on Seesaw,
don't
when
know.
you do a post, you can create a written post, you can create a photo, so you could do some math work and take a picture of it. When we're in school, a lot of the time kids will use whiteboards to show their math work and then take a picture of it to post that picture. That would be my suggestion, or
You can do
video.
it on paper, right? You could just do it on paper, take a picture and post it to Seesaw. Is that right?
Yep,
And
totally.
there's also tools that you can draw over. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's little tools that you can draw over a picture, so kind of like how you edit a photo on your phone, you can put a circle around something, a check mark, you can draw on it. So that could also be another tool.
There are also a lot of pre-made assignments that you could give your kids on Seesaw. So if you, when you're adding something to Seesaw, if you click on the plus button and then you can add an assignment, there are thousands of pre-made assignments in the Seesaw library. So you can easily create an assignment, send students instructions, and then it sends it to their account and they can follow the instructions and then send it back to you. So if you're looking for some specific geometry tasks to do with them, I would really recommend searching the assignment database within Seesaw, and I'm sure there's tons to choose from.
We recently so Mrs. Wentworth and Mrs. Gannier are giving my daughter a self-paced math unit on area and perimeter. And so we went outside with sidewalk chalk and created shapes and did perimeter and area. So even some kind of fun activity like that and taking a picture and uploading it to Seesaw is nice.
Yeah.
That is great. All right. So this is just a quick video of Caroline reading to her. Well, Caroline, why don't you explain?
This is one of my morning messages from last week. I try to, in each of my messages, give the kids something specific to be thinking about, or if they're looking for an activity to do that day. And so I'm just introducing, a morning message to them. The video is different than the picture. The picture is a read aloud picture, but the video you're going to see is my morning check-in.
So I'm just going to show a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, boys and girls, good morning. I hope that you are all great. Noticed my cough into my elbow. Just wanted to say hi for my morning message. And I wanted to leave you a couple of resources of something that you might be able to do outside, maybe not today, but in definitely the coming weeks as it starts getting warmer. The other day I heard a story on NPR about vernal pools, which are the small kind of puddles that form when the snow melts.
Okay. I'm going to go back to our slideshow. Thanks, Caroline. Jessica, I have a question for you. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Is there a way that you could share the directions for blogging, the video for blogging? Could you share those and send them to me and I will post it for folks?
Yeah.
Yeah?
The screencast that I made for kids.
Yeah, I would
Yes.
love that.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna play Jessica here. This is just so cute. It's very similar, but it's very sweet. So I'm gonna play this for you guys. I feel like we could all use a smile. So Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Maeve, can you say hi? Hi. Hi. So this works well because Maeve really likes looking at videos of herself. But you want what?
I want to see myself.
Yeah, you are. That's a picture of yourself right now.
I want to see picture.
Yeah. Can we read this book to the kids? What book is this? What's this called?
I'll read it.
Yeah, let's read it. What is it called?
No, David.
No.
Okay, bye. So what I wanted to point out over there is just the loveliness of bringing in your own family and using your own kids, your animals, your pets, everyone that lives with you as increased engagement for your students. You know, this is an opportunity for them to learn about you and where you come from.
Yeah.
So
if I can just add on that real quick too. Some students were starting to do read alouds back. So after I made that video, then kids started reading aloud books and making videos for the whole class too, which was kind of cool.
That's great. And I know one of my kids' friends winds up sharing, she's in high school, but she shared like her pets and her parents and her whole class met her whole family. So Amanda, this is how has your district been communicating with Zoom and how have you been sort of using it and not using it?
So we had our first staff meeting, I think it was last Friday. That went really well and there was no like freezing. I don't know why it's freezing with my kids, but it worked really well with our whole staff. We had about 30 of us, and we talked as a whole staff, and our principal muted us when she needed to talk. And then I also had a Zoom just meeting one-on-one with my principal yesterday just to help me ease my fears of not doing enough. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm like, oh, I should do more, but she's like, absolutely not. Don't do, you're almost probably doing too much. I've been Zooming with my 2 other 3rd grade teachers. So our team, we do that at lunch. And then after I put my kids to bed at night, we have Zoom sessions sometimes. And that really is nice. And every Friday at 10 a.m., we're going to have a staff meeting, Zoom staff meeting. This is a picture of my computer at my desk, table, kitchen, whatever. And so we're going to have a Zoom staff meeting on Fridays. And we also have a CPT, which is a common planning time. So me, the principal, the math specialist, the reading specialist, the guidance counselor, and my other 3rd grade teammates will meet, I think it's I forget the dates. It's changed them from our regular one, but I think maybe tomorrow at 2 p.m. on Zoom as well. And that's where we talk just about 3rd grade. So it's been great.
And that's been great. And someone just wrote in that if you're having trouble with Zoom and you can't get that simultaneous because you don't have bandwidth or there's bandwidth issues, if you work in a rural area, some folks are using YouTube channels. I just wanted to share that. There was a parent that advised that. So I guess you can use a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Ends. That's just for the group. Okay. So, Amanda, this is just, I think, an example of one of your challenges. Is that correct? You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, the first day, actually. So last Monday, we all went into school and got everything ready for the next 2-3 weeks. And so last Tuesday was my first day back. I think it was St. Patrick's Day. And so I sat down with my kids and we just started making a list of positives because it was the first day when we were all like, holy moly, what what's just happened. You know, everything would move so quickly. And so then I had all my kids take photos of their lists of positives, either Google Drive or photos or texting, any of those things. And a lot of parents were very supportive and loved the idea because they were all struggling too. We're not the only ones, you know.
Yep. No, I think that's great. And I love again that you gave them choices on how to communicate that. I think it's super important. I love that you are modeling sort of the positive outlook, silver lining, helping kids to see the positive things that are coming from this time. I want to make sure that we all remember I had a comment before that, you know, some districts don't have Seesaw, and one of the things that you really need to do, all of you, we've been sharing a lot of online resources and a lot of communication resources. It's really important that all of you make sure that your district gives permission, right, to use some of these platforms because they need to meet the security requirements that the state is putting out there. So I just want to put that in as a reminder. Jess, did you have something to say?
Yeah, and I just wanted to add in, I just checked with our school Seesaw ambassador, and he said that Seesaw is free for a teacher to use with your class. It's the school account that is paid for, which schools like to pay for because there's continuity from year to year. But if you were to sign up for Seesaw right now, you could with your students.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay. Oops. So Amanda, that is your daughter.
Me again. Yes, that's my daughter in the hair that wasn't brushed for like 10 days. No. So obviously I wasn't going to send any photos of other students, but I happen to have a third grader and I teach third grade. So anyway, I am just teaching, giving her some area and perimeter activities that are things that we're working on in my classroom, remote classroom. And she's doing them with her teachers as well. But their teacher didn't give her regular curriculum, just review stuff. And I think that will change after this coming week, but we only got review work for my daughter's classroom. So I really wanted her to kind of, you know, move through the curriculum. So anyway, she's doing area and perimeter. And then last week, another challenge was to do a St. Patrick's Day leprechaun trap.
You
know, mix it up.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So did kids send you pictures of that?
Tons, yeah.
Okay.
And here I am again. Oh gosh. I don't mean to be taking up all your time.
It's okay. I love this s'more layout, and it seems. Why don't you talk a little bit about it? I think it's lovely. I haven't met a lot of folks that are using it. It's a nice way to communicate. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
So it is in free newsletter format. You can pay for an upgraded one, which I don't even know what that does. That's extra, but I send out a newsletter when I was teaching in the classroom, it was like a once a week or a couple times a week thing. But it seems like I need to send something every day now. So I've been sending news out and attaching their schedule, which they have hard copies of anyway. And I also just attach like challenges. So the math program that we're piloting right now has extra enrichment and centers that I did not include in their schedule for learning, but they need to have a printer. So basically I'm attaching things, and I don't have a printer at my house, and I can't get into the school. So I'm giving more options for math, but you have to use a printer, or you can maybe copy and write down answers on a piece of paper. So anyway, some more allows me to attach files, show photos. I just like the colors. It's laid out really nicely. It's appealing to the eye and easy to read.
And can you do hyperlinks in there while you're making the newsletter?
Can I do what?
Hyperlinks, so live links that take kids to other places they need to go?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And you can see on the top of this one of my students actually made a scavenger hunt for the town of Rye. She just did it on her own, and mom sent me a PDF, and I attached it to the newsletter, and just as another fun thing to do.
Oh, that's really neat. I love that. I have a couple questions here. Whoop, I'm not going to go back to that one. Do any of the presenters, just want to make sure. Okay, I'm just going to go on to the next slide and then I'm going to put some questions out there. So Amanda, I just thought this was great. This is similar, or is this is not a weekly newsletter? This is
still some more. I'm using some more in Seesaw the most. Seesaw is more of like an interactive, and then some more is just my regular, like a newsletter blob. And this is just, I'm trying to have not only the extra math assignments, but I'm also trying to do a daily challenge that's a writing or just creative. So, you know, today's the rainbow, creating a rainbow, putting it on your door, play in the snow. Yesterday was National Puppy Day, and so I had their extra credit was to write learn about a certain dog and write an essay about why they think that dog would be the best fit for them. And I had 3 or 4 kids complete that assignment, and it's completely optional. They can do it however way they want. But you know, there are a lot of kids that finish their work within 2 hours in the morning and they're done. And they're like, what else? So this is for them.
That's great. And just in terms of using this more, it's easy?
I'm sorry, some more is so easy. Oh,
So,
and I'm not a techie person. Might look like it in here, but I'm totally not. This is all outside of my comfort zone. And so I can do it. You guys, everybody else can do it.
You can do it. Okay. And I know it's free because I checked it out.
Yep.
So, and in the folder that we will connect all of the attendees to after the webinar, I can put some of these documents in so you can check them out more closely. There's a bunch of questions that have come in. I'm going to stop for a second and ask some of them. Let's see. Do any of the presenters feel that they'll be changing things if this virtual learning continues beyond 3 weeks? Does anyone, I would love for all of you to offer some thoughts around that. And if you're even thinking about that or you've just blocked it out entirely.
Yeah, we are definitely starting to think about how things are going to be changing in the next couple of weeks. As I had said earlier, our administration is wanting us at this point to just be giving families options, and there's no expectation that specific things get completed. But as we move forward, we will be offering more choices and more options. And in one of the coming slides, you will see a self-paced math unit that both Jessica and I put together for our 3rd and 4th grade students. So we will be putting together another self-paced math unit for the kids with videos on how to do the skills and different options for them to practice. And then we are exploring doing like Genius Hour projects with our students. So rather than having, you know, like a list of specific work that needs to get done, letting the kids use this time to explore things that they're really curious about learning, but also holding them accountable with some goal setting and reflections throughout the project process.
And do you have protocols that you use for Genius Hour?
No, not yet.
Okay, but that'll happen. And I can actually connect anybody who's online with some protocols around that. There's a guy named AJ Giuliani. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I can send out information. He has a lot of nice protocols for doing Genius Hour. Thanks. Do you guys, any of you know how your specialists are managing, your art teachers, your music teachers?
Just with us so far, we've had a few of our specialist teachers like pop on to Seesaw and make videos for the kids. And like our PE teacher just came on and asked, did a little sharing and then asked the kids to post what they're doing for physical activity. Same thing with our art teacher. So just interacting on that level. We are moving into starting next week. We don't know the full scope of it yet, but kids who are getting interventions being put in different classes in Seesaw, and working closely with like reading specialists and case managers on, you know, still working through those interventions. So this
That's
kind
great.
of first is a little more hands off, I think, and then we're going to start ramping it up.
But so kids are in separate classrooms in Seesaw. They can be in your class, they can be in a special education teacher's class, they can be in an interventionist's class, all different. Yeah. Yes? Okay. And do you guys, are you giving out work on a daily basis, or are you giving it out for the week?
We've kind of chunked this in the first 2 weeks, and I see a lot of questions about Google Classroom. We do use Google Classroom. We probably used it more, you know, while we were in school, but for right now, we're kind of using it as a way to push things out to kids. So any assignments that we create, or any documents that we're sharing, or any websites, we share them through Google Classroom, just because that's what kids are used to and that's what we were doing. We like the interactive piece of Seesaw a little bit better, and that's why we're using that for that, but we still do use Google Classroom.
Okay.
What was the question again?
Whether you're giving out work daily or weekly, or both.
We set it up for a week, so they came last Monday, parents picked up last Monday and Tuesday at the school their weekly work, including workbooks and anything else that goes along. And so we set it up, this is 1 week, next week is a whole different section of work. But and then within that week, I'm sending out different activities just in addition.
But that's really important information. So are parents continuing to come into the school, or not, you know, or being given weekly materials? Is that something that's continuing to happen? Is this Amanda, by the way?
We're not allowed to be in the school.
Yeah.
On Friday, we can go in from 1 to 4 to get stuff we need, but there's no parents, I'm sure of it. And I'm pretty sure that, so we've sent home hard copies of everything for this week and next week. And if schools continue to be closed after that, we have to do everything remote. So there's no more me going in and photocopying hard copies for parents. They're gonna have to do it all remote. I'm pretty sure that's what we're going towards.
But the exchange with parents, did the parents come to school and you gave them a packet?
Packets, their Chromebooks, because we on Sunday, I think the 15th of March, we still were going to go to school. So our district in Rye, SAU 50, was going to have students come in Monday and Tuesday and then be done on Wednesday. And so that was up until like the very last minute. So we didn't give anything. The kids didn't have anything. They didn't have any of their workbooks, the Chromebooks, nothing. So we put a whole like brown bags full of their Chromebooks, their math books, their all their books from their read aloud books, and their independent chapter books, and everything, spelling books, word vocabulary, all that stuff, all in a huge bag, and parents picked it all up.
Okay. And Jessica, at your school in Carolina, parents are picking things up? And Sarah, thanks for coming on, because I'd love to hear about.
Yeah, we never did that. We were fortunate enough to kind of already have plans in place, thinking that this was going to happen. And so that Friday that our superintendent told us it was going to be happening, we sent kids home with their Chromebooks, books from their book box, journals, anything that they had.
Okay.
Yeah, I just hopped on because I'm really monitoring the questions, and there are a lot of people that are very curious about the Self-Paced Math unit and Genius Hour. So I don't want to ruin the flow, but I do think that those are some potential ideas that people want to hear more about.
Yeah, so can we talk a little bit about Genius Hour? And I'm gonna sort of keep going. I wasn't clear about it. Does anybody want to talk about their understanding of Genius Hour?
Do you want to, Caroline, or do you want me to?
Jess, go ahead. I'll talk about self-paced math.
Okay. So Genius Hour, if you Google it, there's a million resources out there. It's not something that we've done this year with our students yet, but it's basically about students exploring a topic of something that really interests them, something that they're passionate about. Some people call them passion projects. And there's, it's fairly structured, but you can choose how you structure it. And it's kind of like an independent study where students are learning about something. And then at the end, usually there's some kind of product, or they're creating or making something to share their learning.
And maybe later, do you have resources or places that you go? I can share that, but if you have any to share, that would be great for different structures.
Okay. Sure.
And it's a nice way to work. It's a project-based way to work right now while the kids are at home. It also goes with, I think about it as like going with the grain in the carpet. So it goes with the grain of your kids, your kids at home, which I think is really important right now since we're in close quarters for long periods of time. I think capitalizing on kids' natural interests is more important than ever. So, and it's very hands-on.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit too. I have a first grader at home, and his school sent home like a giant packet of math worksheets and reading worksheets and writing worksheets, and he has like zero interest in sitting down and doing these worksheet packets. But when I sit down with him and ask him, what do you want to learn about today? He is so curious, and we've explored lots of different topics. And it's more authentic reading and writing for him than just like read this and answer these random questions. So I'm hoping that the next phase of our remote learning is going to be as open-ended as possible for the students so that they can really tap into their curiosities.
They don't have the social pressure of to help them sit down and do what they need to do, right? And so without that, it becomes really difficult, I think, when your kid's in isolation in their house for them to sit down. Can we talk a little bit about your self-paced math unit, which I have up here?
Sure. Do you want to talk about that, Caroline?
Sure. So what we did, we have we both teach 3rd and 4th grade multi-age. So Jess does the 3rd grade math and I do the 4th grade math. And what we did was put together a menu of the learning goals, the learning targets for a unit. And you can see that we have the I can statement. So what's the goal for that lesson? A video to watch that's kind of the how-to video. So there are so many different math videos online. I've used a lot of Khan Academy videos. Math Antics is another good one. Even just Googling, like partial quotients, division, you'll get, excuse me, a lot of YouTube videos that I'll talk about Edpuzzle in a second too, if your kids have YouTube blocked. So they can link to the video to learn how to do the skill, and then there's several different ways to practice it. So we've given a lot of IXL practice, different online practice programs, and then also offering some worksheets that the parents can print if they have access to that as well. And then culminating the unit, like for the 4th graders, we're doing a long division unit. So I had a couple of long division projects that I just linked in so that when they finish all of the skills, they can choose a project to show what they know. As we move forward with this, probably our next self-paced math unit, which is something we've done at school, is after every skill that they finish, after every I can statement they've completed, they need to do an exit ticket to show that they can do that skill. So we didn't do that for this first remote learning self-paced unit because this was just an option for families. But I have a feeling moving forward that we will also be holding the kids accountable to, take an exit ticket, and we will be using Google survey, or what's it called? I can't remember right now.
Form.
Yes, thank you. Google Forms to have the kids answer questions to show that they can do the skill.
That's terrific. So this is going to happen, or this has happened once already?
This has happened. It's happening right now.
And how are the kids doing with it? And how do you know?
Yeah, that's the tricky part, because right now, as I've said, we don't have any expectation that any of this gets done. I have had several kids reach out to me and ask for clarifying questions, or, you know, I'm really struggling with this skill. Can you show me how to do it? And then I'll pop on Seesaw and make a quick video, you know, with a mini whiteboard at my house to explain it in a different way. And that seems to be helping.
And one other thing I wanted to add is that this week, what we're doing in the second week is that we've scheduled Google Hangouts individually with all the students throughout the week for 10 or 15 minutes each. And so right now I'm checking in with kids saying, like, how's this math unit going? Some of them are saying, well, I haven't really started on that yet. I'm like, okay, so that's so just trying to get a gauge of where they're at. But
are those 15 minutes happening with each individual child?
Yes.
That's scattered throughout the week?
Yes, we haven't done any full class like Zoom or anything yet. Just this week, we just kind of wanted to check in with kids and just see how they're doing. That's really what we're doing.
They must love that time with you.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah, I would think that they did, especially now. What an opportunity, right? How often do you have 15 minutes to hang out with your teacher alone,
right,
and have her hear about what's going on in your world?
Right.
The brain pop and the ed puzzle, I think it would be great if you could talk a little bit about both of those. I think a little.
Ed Puzzle is such a fantastic website. It's free, and you can curate videos from all over the web and save them in one place. So you can search for YouTube videos and then save them to Ed Puzzle, and then share with your students the videos directly in Google Classroom, or you can make them a public link, and like we've done on this document down here where it says Ed Puzzle video, that's just a link to the video. The other cool thing about Ed Puzzle is that you can insert questions throughout the video. So you can like edit each video and add questions throughout or questions at the end, and then link it to Google Classroom so that all of their responses come in through Google Classroom.
That sounds really terrific.
Yeah, it's a really great resource. If you're not using Ed Puzzle, I definitely encourage you to check it out. It's free, it's super easy, and like when we're in school and we want to have the kids have access to YouTube videos, which YouTube is blocked, our workaround is going through Ed Puzzle. So we'll get the video from YouTube on Ed Puzzle and then share it with them through that.
It's pretty easy to use too. Even I figured it out. So yeah. I will say it's pretty easy to use and free, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And Brain Pop, I don't think Brain Pop is free for some reason, is it?
We have a school subscription, so I don't think it's free.
I would check back again. They may have made it free. You know, there may be free options.
Yeah.
Sarah, did you want to comment?
Yeah, I'm just the question monitor here, but lots of questions around where people can find the slides, find these documents. And so I've been trying to answer that on the side, but I think that if you can just let people know where they can find all of these goodies, that would be awesome, Karen.
Okay, I will do that. And I wanted, from a comment in the questions, Brain Pop is free. They made it free, evidently, so that's great.
Almost everything right now is free, which is
free. It's quite miraculous, and I feel like all of these sites and all of these companies, they're so happy because they're making it free, and then everyone's going to get hooked, and then the world will be a virtual world forever. I hope not. But so I will tell you, I want to make sure that you guys know, a couple of hours after this webinar, you will all be getting a series of links to, well, let's see, you'll be getting a certificate. You'll be getting a link to a Google Drive that we have that has all the materials from this webinar, the webinar, any handouts, and then anything in addition that we've promised, we will put into that Google folder. A recording of the webinar will also be available, and you will get a link for that as well. All right, so you'll be getting all the goodies. I just wanted to make you aware of that. And Daniel Scheinman, we had a, sorry, I didn't mean to say your full name. That's, well, anyway, Daniel was pointing out that we had a webinar yesterday. Reading A to Z is also free right now. So for those of you that are on, you should definitely go and see if you don't have a membership to Reading A to Z, you can get a free 3-month membership right now. And they have, it's a very, very good tool and resources for literacy for K through 5 and 6. So, all right. So if there aren't any more questions about the self-paced math unit, our webinar is quickly coming to a close. So I want to just talk a little bit about, if you could, for 1 minute, talk about the use of Padlet, Jess and Caroline.
Sure. We've used Padlet pretty extensively so far this year with the kids, just as a way to curate resources when they're researching. You know, they are at 3rd and 4th grade, so we try to prevent them from just like Googling things randomly. So this is small group inquiry that we're working on, and students had chosen these topics prior to school being closed, which was great. And so we've curated some resources for them so kids can access this. I mean, it's a lot longer of an explanation than that, but that's the gist.
The Padlet is, it's basically like a a pad, right? And then, so these, you have icons or to symbolize each of these is really a folder of resources that the kids open.
I consider it to be more like a bulletin board of resources. So they're all links to different websites or images or epic books to read. And we put this together because we had been doing a history unit prior to our school closing. So we put this together as a way for them to continue the inquiry while they were home. And so it's an easy way to curate resources for your students.
And it can be interactive with them, right?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say next. You can turn on the comment feature so that students can, you know, read the resource or look at the website, and then they can comment their thinking and then see each other's comments and reply.
Terrific. And so this is a reply. Is this some input from some of the students? Is that correct?
Yeah, so we had the kids in groups, and the group studying World War II on their own without any teacher prompting decided to put together like a group chat where they could share their notes and what they were learning about through their resources on Padlet. And then they shared it with each other, and you can see how organized it is. They gave each student a different color so that their notes could be, they could tell who was saying what for the notes, which is another great way for them to communicate and stay connected.
That's great. I love that. So our webinar time is inching away, and I need to bring our webinar to a close. And before I do, I just want to point out a couple of other, this is a 4th grade, is this a self-paced division unit, similar to what we talked about earlier? Okay.
Yep.
And I see the use of Khan Academy, and I think most people are aware of Khan Academy. The other thing I like about Khan Academy, if you're allowed to use it by your district, right, is it comes in different languages too. So if you have a need for English language learners to learn in different languages, you have that for you. And then I gather you guys are using IXL, and that's terrific. And I see the activities there.
I was just seeing a question about, do Padlet and Google Classroom play well together? Absolutely. All I do is just post a link to the Padlet on Google Classroom.
Perfect. Okay. So these were just some of the technology. I think that we hit on most of these. We talked about Brain Pop. I think everyone sort of knows what iExcel is. It's a game-like format for math. Is that correct?
It's not so much a game as it is just like an online worksheet, I think. If you're looking for a free game to use with your students to practice math, my kids love a game called Prodigy.
Yeah.
And that's a free account. And what I love about Prodigy is that you can give the kids specific assignments and work on specific skills. So I have a Prodigy assignment. It's like 30 questions going right now. My kids love to play it. And I used it for more review because there's not a big teaching component to that. So like skills that we've already done this year.
Got it. That's great. And can you just speak to, for 1 second, to Wonderopolis?
Yeah, Wonderopolis is it's like a nonfiction reading resource for kids. So they have tons of different questions, thousands and thousands of questions about science and social studies topics, and a really kid-friendly explanation to answer the question. And then usually there are links to videos so the kids can watch a little video about it too.
Okay, thanks. And you recommend it?
Yep.
Okay. I am going to, and I'm going to skip the others for now. I have some links to Epic that I'm going to upload some more resources around some of these into the file for the folder that you guys will be getting later. Okay, and I'm sure that everybody who's on will also be able to share some more resources. Before we end, I want to sort of open up and see if anybody has anything that they want to say. I also am going to, I'm going to do a quick poll with you, because we're trying to find out if you all, if everybody who's on right now would be interested in meeting up weekly in a webinar like this to share some ideas and talk. So I'm gonna send you a poll right now. If you could quickly do this, that would be terrific, so we know whether to hold a follow-up webinar for grades. Probably it would be from grades 3 to 6. So there I go. I think I just launched the poll. If you could be so kind as to take the poll. Would you like weekly webinars for grades 3 to 5 to connect, share your innovative practices, and ask questions? And then you're going to pick one of the following. You know, maybe you just want to listen. Maybe you want to present. Thank you, guys. Okay. Thank you for that. It seems like everyone's responded. I appreciate it. So we have 50% of the people who attended would like to do this maybe next week again. And even we have a couple people that would like to maybe even present. So we might be getting back to you and asking about that. So thanks so much. And now I would love it if anybody has any last questions or anything that they want to share. It's 11:04, so I understand if people are starting to log off, but if anybody has anything they want to share with the attendees, we're gonna look in the hand raising section to see if anybody has any direct questions they want to be unmuted, or if there's anything they want to contribute. So I'm going to give you guys a second for that. Let's see. Oh, Carrie, I'm unmuting you. Would you like to ask a question or have a comment? You're live.
Oh my, thank you. I think I offered most in the comments. I guess I just wanted to mention that I have been Zooming with all my colleagues every morning at 9 a.m. And that's been fantastic to just see people's faces and be able to troubleshoot together. So that's really great. And I've been using Mystery Science, but not enough in remote learning world that we're in now to understand how those kids that won't have any of the supplies to do science activities are going to respond to that. And they probably don't have printers either. And so I'd like to be able to say it's great, but I haven't had enough experience with it in remote learning world to be able to respond to that.
I have heard that. Fantastic. Yeah.
Can I mention something about Mystery Science?
Surely.
So we do Mystery Science. We love it. But yes, you're right. If you don't have a printer, it's hard to do the lessons, the paper pencil portions. But I will say the videos are worth it just to watch them. And then if you look at the top of a Mystery Science page, it's like lessons and then mini videos or mini lessons, and they're only like 5 or 6 minutes. Those don't have paper and pencil requirements. Those are just videos, and they're excellent. And there's new one every week. So you still can do the Mystery Science videos without the activity. It's obviously not as great, but I think they're still beneficial.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I haven't explored the mini lessons. I've been, unfortunately, it feels pretty boring. I'm taking photos of my book and putting them online and then asking questions and trying to make it interactive. You know, how does the Native Americans and the colonists, you know, like what killed the Native Americans and how does that relate to today? But it's tough to make it really exciting. I'm looking more into Discovery Ed. Has anyone got experience with Discovery Ed? Okay, well, maybe next week I can give some feedback on those.
That would be terrific. I might take you up on that.
Okay.
Okay. So
I missed the first half hour, so I'm hoping that I didn't miss too much and I can get those the handouts.
You'll get the handouts and you'll get a recording. So you will have missed really nothing. Okay. So but thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you to Amanda and Jessica and Caroline and thanks Sarah and Mike. I hope that it's been a learning experience for you, and I hope that some of you will join us if we schedule it again next week, and you will be getting a notification around that. We have another webinar this afternoon that I'm highly recommending, self-care for educators at 3 o'clock. And if you haven't gotten an invite to that, you can go to our Demonstrated Success site. Just Google demonstratedsuccess.com, and then there's a drop down that says workshops. You can see an image, workshops and webinars, and then within there's something called drop down for virtual teaching in New Hampshire, and you can register for our self-care for educators. So that should be great. And tomorrow we have webinars, virtual local assessments for grades 3 through 12, and we are also doing a couple other grade levels. So it's the similar tomorrow to today for grades 5, 6, and 1, 2. And you will learn, it'll be very similar, but you may learn some new strategies and activities and resources. Okay, so thank you all for joining us today. Thank you to our presenters. And we all wish you the best of luck in your learning adventure. And we thank you again for all the work that you're doing for your kids. And take care and have a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.